Aleichem, everybody. Okay, so I'm cutting pieces of paper. Why am I cutting pieces of paper? It's important to have these pieces of paper because of it's a live recording. There's people on who knows where. Okay, better I do it here than in my house. All right. Yeah, I'm talking to. Okay. What are these pieces of paper for? These pieces of paper are basically for our preparation for. Please excuse me if I have to say hello to people who are here. All right. It's okay. Okay. We're going to talk about Pesach, how to make this Pesach meaningful. Okay. So, in terms of understanding Pesach and Passover, we have to understand the first thing, number one, is that it's not that we are commemorating Passover. It's not we're commemorating a historical event that once happened. That's not really what the Torah is. As we all recall, what the Torah is about is the Torah is the blueprint of creation. God looked into the Torah and made the world. And the way we look at that is that there is a screen, there is a projector. The projector projects through a film, and then the film, of course, goes onto the screen. So the way we look at it is the screen is the world, the projector, the light of God, that is constantly giving everything life, and it goes through a film, and that is the Torah. In other words, the Torah is constantly giving everything its existence. What am I getting at? What am I getting at? Here I'm getting at because the Torah dictates certain things such as time, right? Time is projected through Torah, and at certain times have certain influences, certain energies, certain things are being bestowed. So the idea here is that during these days of Passover, we are not, yes, kind of celebrating a historical event that we got out of Egypt, yes. But no. You have to understand the idea, the concept of going out of Egypt is the idea of what we call freedom, cherus, right? So the idea here is that Torah is making this energy of freedom to be out in the world, and then during that, in that energy of freedom, so then all the things happened of going out of Egypt. The idea here was it's always understood it's like a spiral. That just like, a spiral goes round and it goes round and round, right? So look at at the year, the yearly as a year is a cycle, like a spiral. That every single year, the energy of what happens that year is always transmitted and is always available to us. So the idea, the concept of freedom is always being bestowed, radiating, available to us. The idea here now that we're getting involved in Passover is a preparation for Passover, because the way that we're going to have Passover, the preparation is going to dictate how much we're going to benefit from Passover. So the idea here is this, of cutting pieces of paper. And it goes into what's the idea, the concept of chametz. What's chametz? Chametz, everybody knows, is the evil inclination. Everybody has levels of evil inclination. Just one moment, please. Okay, so the evil inclination. Everybody's going out of Egypt. You have to look at yourself, like it says in the Haggadah. You have to look at yourself as if you're going out of Egypt. How do we go out of Egypt? So you have to ask yourself, what am I going to leave behind? Okay, I'm going to leave something behind. You're going to leave your evil inclination, because chametz is the evil urge. Chametz is your bad habits. Chametz is the negativity. Chametz is your challenges of lack of emunah. So what you got to do is you got to write it down on this piece of paper right here. Okay? You write it down on a piece of paper, and then when you write it down on a piece of paper, whatever it is, and maybe you want to put it in a coded form, so in case anybody would find it, they want to say, "Oh my gosh!" Right? So you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is you want to put it on a piece of paper, your Yetzer Hara, okay? You want to put your Yetzer Hara's, whatever it is. This is what you want to leave behind Egypt, okay? So you write it down on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, okay? Seal the envelope, okay? This is what you're going to leave behind Egypt, okay? And why am I talking about this? And what are you going to do with this envelope? So the idea here is this. We have the concept now, we talked about time and how the influence of time and the energy of time, and it gives the hashpah, what we call the influence of freedom. And the freedom we're talking about here is freedom from our evil inclination. So the idea here is we are now just before Passover. We have another week or so before Passover. Now, it works like this. The whole year, look at the whole year. And the whole year is divided up into basically 4 different time periods, okay? And it happens to be now, this period of time is called, according to one of the biggest Kabbalists in the last generation, the Leshem, 72 days of Chesed, which means 72 days of kindness, okay? Which is really 3 weeks before Passover, and then from Passover until Shavuot, right, which is another 50 days. So you have a total of 72 days. And 72 days is a very significant number, but I'm not going to get into it. So the 72 days are the 72 days of kindness. What do I mean by that? 72 days of kindness is where God is totally bestowing upon us. It is such an unbelievable opportune time to grow and change, like Elul, like Rosh Hashanah. Yes, it is. The problem is people don't really want to take it. People don't really want to harness it or grasp it. So in these days, what we want to do is we want to recreate. We want to create a greater self than what we usually have. And in part of that, there's this process of Passover. Then we have, after Passover, you have the parting of the Red Sea. And then we have the other days all the way until Shavuot. Shavuot, which is like the marriage. So the idea here of Passover, is in 3 weeks, and 3 weeks before, we already start to have to prepare it. And the way we have to prepare it is we have to locate our evil inclination, search and destroy. That's what we do when we do the B'dikat Chametz. And then the next day, after we do the B'dikat Chametz, before midday, we have to make sure that we destroy our leaven. And the leaven is our evil inclination. So what we're going to do is next Thursday night, there's going to be a special thing that everybody does with a candle. They go through, or a flashlight, that they go through their house searching for any leaven that there might be available, that might be found. And then we put it away on the side, and then the next morning we go out to the synagogues or places when you have to burn it. And when you burn it, that's where the envelope comes in. The envelope is, when you're burning your comments, you're also burning your evil inclination. You have to send this into the fire. You have to say goodbye to it. And then, interestingly enough, as the stages are going here, because once you search for your evil inclination, think about it, right? Destroy your evil inclination. And then comes the midday. After midday, we're not allowed to have any chametz. Midday before the Seder. That means if it's coming this Friday night, so midday before Friday, we're not allowed to have any chametz or leaven or anything like that. So what we do is, interestingly enough, why? Right? So the idea was explained to me. It's an unbelievable idea. It's a great idea. And the idea here is, they didn't start sacrificing the Korban Pesach, the Paschal offering, until midday of the day before Passover. It was the busiest day of the year. All of the Kohanim all of the priests would be in the temple, and you'd have to understand you have to sacrifice for every single person, for every single group of people that brought sheep. Unbelievable. I mean, they had to work real fast because you only had from midday until sundown, right? So only the Korban Pesach, the Paschal offering, can only be offered from midday onward, right? So, and you couldn't own any leaven during that time. You had to take care of your evil inclination, and then you could take care of what's called our own avodah zarah, slaughtering our own idols. See, the whole idea in Egypt was they slaughtered the Paschal lamb, they slaughtered the idols, because in Egypt they were worshiping idols. So they slaughtered the idols. So where's idolatry for us in our days? So the idolatry for us in our days is our rationalizations. Everybody has built in them a system of idolatry in a certain sense, maybe a light form, a sense, a very slight form. So they have a slight form. Shalom, shalom. So they have a slight form, but that idolatry is what we would have in our days, a rationalization. Oh, it's okay, or maybe this is okay, or this is permissible. You can't have your evil urge, because your evil urge is going to mess you up and mess up your thinking, and it's going to make you think that no, you can. You're going to get into the whole rationalization concept again, and then you're going to be lost. So you have to get rid of the evil urge. You have to burn your chametz, and then you have to think about your rationalizations, where you're rationalizing, and that is symbolizing of them slaughtering the Paschal offering. And then you go into Passover. And Passover is the ultimate night where it's such an unbelievable free gift this night. Right? It is, I had another concept I thought about today. Because it really is the night is it's a freebie, right? God is bestowing in such an unbelievable way on this night, on the night of Passover. We just have to catch the light and catch the moment. It's okay, I'm recording it. It's all good. You'll get it. It's recording now. People are live.
Live?
Live. Live!
Are you serious?
Live. Live stream.
No way.
Way.
No way. You can't do that.
It is. It's being done.
Can I get on there live?
Not this second. People are watching.
Oh, you really are live?
Yeah. Okay.
Live.
But it's also being recorded, so we'll hook you up. All right. So we talked about the process now. Okay, reading your Yetzer Hara, taking care of your idolatry, because and this gets in the idea of matzah versus chametz. Because we eat matzah at night. If you look through the verses scattered through the entire 5 books, so there's 8 different verses. There's 8 different verses for taking care of your chametz. Either you can't have the chametz, you can't see the chametz, you can't own the chametz. You have to eat matzah, get rid of the chametz, eat the matzah. The first verse actually says you got to eat matzahs. Make sure you're not eating leaven. First it would make sense to get rid of your leaven and then eat the matzah, right? Plus you have 8 verses for it. What's the deal with the 8 verses? So many, right? Why so many? So much, right? Interestingly enough, most people understand matzah is, okay, there wasn't enough time for the dough to rise, so that's why we eat matzah. But actually, in the Torah, it says, in Exodus, it brings down that, no, you have to eat the Paschal lamb with matzahs and mortar. So you have to have matzah even before, right? Right? So we have all these questions concerning how many verses. We have the commandment to eat matzah, and then and then after that is the commandment to destroy the leaven, right? And the big question is, great, if leaven, because it's expanded, is your evil inclination. It symbolizes ego. It's all fluffed up. It's more air. So then why don't we eat it all year round? Why not? Right? So the idea here is this. We eat it all year round. We don't eat it all year round, sorry. I mean, you can, but the obligation is only this one window of time. So the idea here is we eat it only this time because it is the medicine, the inoculation specifically for right now, for us, right? It is all that is needed for right now, okay? Once you take the medicine, you don't need it anymore, right? Because why? The eating of the matzah at this time, these days, eating matzah, it helps that you won't see the chametz or yeast all year long. No, what do I mean by that? Because we say that the chametz is the representation or the hint of the evil urge, right? So by way of the holiness of not matzah, that's why it says eat matzah first, and then it says get rid of your leaven. Eat the matzah first, right? Because why? Eating the matzah in the holiness on Seder night will help you that during the whole rest of the year, right? You won't see chametz, which means really the desires and the lusts that we go through all year will not be good in your eyes. In other words, you will have that sensitivity to know, even if you fall, that it's not right. It won't be a good taste, right? It won't be good in your eyes. It won't be good in your thoughts, right? It'll help you to recognize and not feel right about the desires and lusts, okay? So that's why we eat the matzah. The matzah is a medicine that helps us for the whole rest of the year be able to recognize, hey, no, that's not kosher. That's not kosher. Just a little bit of thoughts. It'll give us that extra edge, right, that we need to get us over that, okay? So interestingly enough, there's two expressions for chametz. There's that the Torah brings down. There's chametz and so'or. So'or is like a yeast. So if you add up the numerical value of chametz and so'or, it's the exact numerical value of Eitz Hadat Tov V'Ra, which is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Both of those things. The idea here is this. You see, and this is really also why we don't eat matzah all year round. Okay? Shalom, shalom. This is the reason why we don't eat matzah all year round, right? You think if chametz, right, is evil inclination. Chametz is ego, it's evil. So why not only eat matzah all year round and never eat leaven all year? Why not, right? So the idea here is we're not supposed to be destroying our evil inclination. You need your evil inclination, right? You remember that Gemara in Sanhedrin? There's a Gemara in Sanhedrin which was the sages prayed and they fasted for 3 days that the evil inclination would be delivered to them. First, the evil inclination for idolatry. They prayed, they fasted for 3 days, and suddenly out of the Kadosh Kadosh in the holies came this like a lion of fire, this visage of a lion of fire came out. People were in the courtyard. The Kohanim were freaking out. They took this vessel and covered it over quickly, and they went and told the sages. And they went, "There's this weird thing that just happened. This fiery lion cub, just came darting out of the holy of holies. We didn't know what to do. We covered it over, and we got some big fat priest sitting on the bowl, so he won't get out." So the rabbis say, okay, it was delivered to us, the evil inclination for idolatry. Okay? They killed it. Ever since then, though, they didn't have prophecy. Because prophecy and the evil inclination and idolatry, the lust for idolatry, come hand in hand. They come from the same root. And then the sages prayed for that the evil inclination for promiscuity, immorality, would be handed over to them. They prayed They fasted for 3 days, and then all of a sudden the same thing. They got this little baby lion cub. A fire came out from the Holy of Holies. They covered it over. They told the rabbis. But then the next day, these farmers came to the rabbis and say, our chickens are not laying eggs. Right? Right? So the rabbis realized if they kill this evil inclination, there wouldn't be any more children. Right? The world would not be able to exist or continue. So they only poked its eye out. They wounded it in a certain way that it would be a little bit reduced, but still, in other words, the idea here is you need the evil urge. We need the Yetzer Hara, but you just have to tame the Yetzer Hara. Okay? So the idea of Pesach is, first we have to locate, that's the B'tikat Chametz. You have to locate, you have to take the evil out of the Yetzer Hara, and it's just for this time period. And we say, there's a famous phrase that we bring down in Gemara and Sanhedrin, I think also, in the Talmud, that says, Rutzonenu Avinu Shebashamayim, Father in heaven, Rutzonenu Lasos Rutzonecha. It's our will to do your will. We want to do it really inside of us. We really want to do your will. But we have the yeast in the dough is the only thing that's stopping us. That's the language, meaning the Yetzer Hara, the yeast in the dough is the only thing that's blocking us from doing your will, right? So it's the yeast in the dough that's causing the problem. but the reality is you really need your evil inclination, but you just have to know how to tame your evil inclination. So the way we use it is the mushal that is used is like a horse. A wild horse, you want to tame the wild horse, you put a fence around, right? First you get it into a fence, and then eventually after it's used to the fence, then you'll throw a saddle on it, right? Then maybe you'll try to get on it. It might throw you off a few times, but the idea here is to tame the horse and not to destroy the horse. So the reason why we don't eat, we need chametz. But the thing is, we just need to have an edge over the chametz. So this one window of opportunity on Passover, this one window of opportunity is the medicine for us for the whole year against our evil inclination. Okay? Okay. So now to do something else. I spoke about the envelope here. This is for you. You can do this later. Okay? This is to write your Yetzer Hara on the piece of paper, put it in an envelope, and in the Sreifat Chametz, you burn it. Yeah. This is what people do. This is what those who want to make the most out of Pesach, because it's about leaving your Yetzer Hara behind. Okay? And a new life. Because really, these are the 72 days of kindness, like I said before. Hayamim ha'elu, you speak Hebrew? Yeah, say that. These are the 72 days of Chesed. God is bestowing upon the world. The idea here is 3 weeks before Passover, and then you have Shavuot, finally the end of the 72 days. We have to develop within ourselves right now, take a moment, develop within yourselves right now to give yourself a vision of who you want to be at Shavuot. In other words, right now, here we are, right? You have to now picture what kind of person, what kind of thing would you like to see developed in yourselves between now and Shavuot, which is the holiday of the giving of the Torah, right? Because these days have a special influence like Elul, where these days, if we were to harness the energy that God is the special blessing that God is bestowing upon us these days, right, we can make unbelievable changes. But you have to have a vision, a clear vision of what you want to be in 72 days from now. Yeah, question.
What is this 3 weeks before Pesach?
3 weeks before, see. Okay, the day is divided up, it has 4 different waves, 4 different styles of waves throughout the year. Okay, there's the 72 days of Chesed, there's the 63 days of Din, right? Then there's the 45 days, that's like an Elul. Then there's another 52 days in the winter. We'll get into that later. That's a whole different subject. But the idea here is,
What are the names of the 45 days and 52 days? Like you mentioned Chesed and Din.
Yaakov, Esav, because those are days of change. It has a different influence. Those are also dynamic days of change. Also, and the 52 days in the middle of the winter is also a chain. They're all, so you have to know how to understand the energies so that you can utilize those days in the maximum to its potential in order to affect the change. Right? It's a whole different class. What those specific days are. Right now is the 72 days of Chesed, where it's all bestowal from God, a special gift that He's giving us opportunities of dynamic growth. We can become, people. We can soar. But you see, the process is evil inclination, right? You have to get rid of your idolatry, which is your rationalizations. You go through Pesach, which is the holiday of Cherut. And what is Cherut? Cherut is freedom. Freedom is freedom from the evil inclination, right? But it's a different kind of freedom. Really, the avoda of Egypt, believe it or not, is emunah. Emunah. The real service is to inculcate, right? Emunah, a greater sense of emunah. Really, everything is emunah, right? But here it's where it starts, right? Is emunah. Really, the work is emunah, right? Like we have here, like one of the greatest things that I saw in the halacha. It's in the practical law books. Do I have it here? 1 second. No, it's in the other one. The practical law books, it brings down in the halacha when we open the door and we say shfach hamascha ala goyim, pour out your anger upon the nations, right? We open the door to show that it's Leil Shimurim, that it is the night that we are being watched. God watches over us. You don't need to say all 3 paragraphs of the Shema that night, on Seder night, right? And it springs down there. Why do we open up the door? We say shafach hamascha, right? Pour out your wrath, right? And we pour another cup for Elijah the prophet, because it says there, the Ramah brings down on the merit of the emunah that we have at that time. On the merit of the emunah, Mashiach will come. Right then and there. The potential is right then and there. If you build your work on your emunah, right then and there, Mashiach will come. Right? When you open up the doors. It's a powerful, thing. Usually what goes on the Passover, though, it's always pandemonium, right? It's crazy, right? The kids are going crazy. People are going crazy. Relatives get together with all their mishigas, and they're always taking jabs at each other. Oh, you're always like that. There you go again. Complaining, right? Right? Or whatever it is. It's always that, right? So, but through it, and that's really the mystery of Pesach, through all of the balagan, the light seeps in, really. And even though it might be subliminal, you still get it, okay? But you have to have it, the light of freedom from the evil inclination and everything else like that, right? So, anyways, where are you going to be? Awesome. Okay. That's that concludes our class. It was a short little thing. We're going to say hello to everybody. Say goodbye. Sorry. I said hello. Goodbye. Shalom Aleichem. And sorry, we're going to try to hook up next time that you could type in any of your questions and things like that. You should all have a happy Pesach, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.